Okay, so let's continue with authentication and authorization. Now, is that clear, guys? Everyone, authentication will come next, authorization will come first. Is that clear? Okay, so let's see them very quickly. So, what is authentication and authorization? As you can read here, authentication determines whether the users are who they claim to be. That means we are identifying their identity and actually we are verifying their credentials. So if you are trying to log in to a particular system, it will check whether such type of credentials are available in a database or not, whether that user is allowed to log in or not. And authorization determines what users can and cannot access, right? So it is actually dealing with the user's permission. It is actually dealing with user's permission. So now I think it is clear, everything. It is directly written here. It is mainly dealing with the credentials. It is mainly dealing with the permissions. So first permissions should be given, then and then we can take, we can say that it will be able to log in. Clear with this? So now let us see what are the difference between authentication and authorization. Can anyone write down four differences between authentication and authorization? Anyone? Four differences between authentication and authorization. I want four differences between authentication and authorization. Please write down. I'm waiting for your answers. Four differences between, okay, authentication verify who you are. Authorization decides if you have permission. Very good. Authentication means verifying user credentials. Authorization means to give the permission. Okay. So two answers I have got. Remaining two more answers. Expecting two more answers. Okay, let's see the differences then. Okay, very good part. So now let's see here. I think there is some mistake in the PPT. This one is wrong. So let me just delete this. Okay. So now determines whether the users are who they claim to be and determines whether the users can access or not. Checks the detail of an entity with a view of identifying the user. It is checking the privilege or the permissions given to the user. Authentication needs username and password. Authorizations are mainly related with the security level. That means what type of access you need to give to the particular user, that will be done at the authorization level. Okay. Then authentication verifies user's credentials. It validates the permission. Okay. Authentication determines whether the person is user or not. Valid determines what the permission do you have. So it's all about relating to the permissions and the credentials. So you can just write down the differences as per your learning and convenience or understanding. Don't go for this particular differences. Rather, this PPT, this slide is not required because you can directly write down the answers from your understanding from this PPT. right? So can you describe authentication and authorizations in your words, everyone? You just need to give one a small example. So will you be able to write down the answer on your own? Either difference between authorization and authentication, or explain authorization and authentication. Any of the answer. Will you be able to write down? Great. Okay. So now let's move on to the next part, that is audit trails. Now what do you mean by audit? Anyone? What do you mean by audit? Anyone who can give me the answer? What do you mean by audit? What do you mean by a term called audit? In a simple words. Can anyone tell me what do you mean by it? Yes. Verification may be okay. Yes, very good. Or to check any record or verify it. Yes, exactly. So now we are talking about audit trails. So audit trails means it is a type of inspection where we are checking each and every activity being made on a database. What we are doing? We are checking each and every activity that has been made on a particular database. So audit trails are the mechanisms by which we check each and every activity, and also we store the logs of each and every activity that has been made on our database. So that is what audit trails means. So now audit trails mainly are of three types: individual accountability, intrusion detection, and detailed insight. So let's see each of them. This is not important as a part of exam, but just let us go through these topics now. But the important things that were the part of the exam for your examination have been covered so far. So now all these things are not important, but we'll just go through these terms very quickly. Fine. So now let's see what is individual accountability in audit trails. So it's a technical mechanism that help managers to maintain individual accountability. That means it will advise the user for their actions. They will track each and every action, each and every activity that has been made on a transaction, that has been made on a database, and it will tell your users that which activity was suspicious, which activity had a problem or an error. So this is what an individual accountability will be. It means that if you are trying to, if you are logged into Facebook, then each and every activity that you are doing in your Facebook, that will be recorded by Facebook managers. And if you are performing any suspicious activity, right, then the Facebook managers will give you a prompt that this activity is not allowed, or this type of activity is illegal for you to perform on this Facebook page. So this is what individual accountability mean. So it is going to check each and every individual's activity on a particular page or on a particular database. So this is what individual accountability means. Right? Clear with this? What do you mean by individual accountability? Track each and every activity of a user and inform the user about it. Even if it is false, it is error, it is some illegal things, each and every activity will be informed to the user. So this is what individual accountability means. Clear with this? Clear with this, guys? So individual accountability means each user's activity are tracked. Then comes intrusion detection. Now intrusion means some type of attacks. So it will try to detect any type of attacks on the database. So intrusion detection refers to the process of identifying attempts to penetrate a system and gain unauthorized access. It means that if someone is trying to enter your database or someone who is not authorized to access the database and that particular user is trying to gain an access to the database, then it will detect its activity and inform the administrator or admin, actually I would say. So this is what intrusion detection means. It means if someone is trying to enter your system, even though that person is not being authorized to enter, that means that person is called intruder, and the complete system of identifying that process is known as intrusion detection. It means આપણા ઘરમાં ચોર આવે તો ચોરને આપણે intruder કહીએ, right? The thieves that are not having an access or authority to enter our house, and if they are trying to enter, that means it is an intrusion detection process. Someone who is not authorized to have an access is trying to access the particular data. So this is what intrusion detection means. Clear? A thief trying to enter our home is known as intrusion detection. If you detect that a thief is trying to enter our home, then you have completed the process of intrusion detection. That is what I can say in simple words. Clear? Then comes detailed insight. Now, detailed insight is somewhat similar to your individual accountability. As individual accountability tracks each and every user, detailed insight will track each and every minor, or I would say minute, activity of any application. Either it is being done by a user, or it has been done by a server, or it has been done by some external components. Each and everything will be recorded by this detailed insight audit trails. This is the summary of the statement that I have written in this PPT, right? So just remember that individual accountability means users each activity is being recorded. Either it is suspicious, either it is good, it is bad, or it is having some errors or problems. Each and every activity is being recorded and has been informed to the individual users. Intrusion detection means an unauthorized user trying to access the data. Simple terms, a thief trying to enter the house. Detailed insight means each and every minor activity of the application or the database is recorded. Either it is being done by external resources or internal resources or by the user. So this is what audit trails mean. It is trying to track or trying to store the logs of each and every things that you are trying to do on a database. Clear with this, guys? So this is what audit trails means. And these are the three types of audit trails: individual user, intrusion detection, or detailed insight. That means complete database watch, I would say. Please go through this, and if you have any doubts, just tell me. Just go through it. And if you have any doubts, just raise it. Again, I'm repeating one more time. Individual accountability means each user's activity has been recorded and informed to the user about their activities if required. Intrusion detection means unauthorized user trying to access the database and we are detecting that particular suspicious activity. Simple example, we are detecting that a thief is trying to enter our home. And detailed insight means our complete database is being watched and each and every activity of that uh, on that database has been recorded. Either that activity is being performed by internal or external resources or by any of the other user. Clear with this, guys? Any doubts? Anyone in this now? Audit trails? Okay, so the next is data encryption and decryption. Actually, I'm not going to go deep in this particular part because this particular concepts you are going to learn in your upcoming semesters. But what is encryption and what is decryption, I'm just going to discuss in a very short. So database encryption or data encryption, it means that what we are going to do is our data is stored in the database, right? And what we are going to do is we are going to add some random data to our actual data. What we are going to do? We are going to add some random data to our actual data so that even if some unauthorized user gain an access to your data, he or she won't be able to recognize the actual data. That is the main concept of data encryption is. What we are doing, we are adding some random data to our actual data so that even if the unauthorized users access our data, the user won't be able to know what is the exact or actual data. That is what data encryption means, right? And data decryption means the if our data has been fetched by the authenticated and authorized user, right? Then he or she will be able to see the actual data. That means the random data that we have entered in our actual data will be removed by that particular person and he or she will be able to see the actual data. Clear? This is the concept of data encryption and data decryption. Encryption means you are adding some random data so that our data is secured, and decryption means you are removing that random data so that you can have the actual data to use somewhere. This is the concept of encryption and decryption. Clear with this, guys? This is the main concept of encryption and decryption. Here, encryption means adding data, decryption means removing the data. A very simple example if I take, if whenever you are trying to register somewhere in the website and you are providing your password in that particular website, right? So what does this mean? Whenever you are entering the password and when the password is actually stored in the database, right? The password is encrypted or password is stored in such a way that it will be added with some more random data, right? So even if someone tries to access your database, you will not be able to see what actually your password is. So that is what encryption means. Adding some random data or random strings to your actual data so that your data is secured. And whenever it is the password is being fetched, that random data will be removed and then you will be able to see your password. So this is what encryption and decryption means. Clear? Clear with this, guys? Now we'll go through PPT very quickly. This is what the main concept of encryption and decryption is. This you are going to learn in your fourth semester, fifth semester and seventh semester. So I'm not going to go deep in this too much. And this is not important as a part of GTU also. But we have included this in your PPT just such that you have some idea of encryption and decryption. That is what our main concern is. So let's see what is encryption. It is a security method in which information is encoded in such a way that only authorized user can read or understand it. Right? So we are adding our data in, we are adding some random data to our actual data such that only the person who has an authority to access your data will be able to know or understand it. If someone else is trying to access your data, that user will not be able to know or understand your data. That is what encryption means. Right? The basic idea behind encryption is to apply an encryption algorithm to the data using a user specified or DBA specified encryption key. So what is encryption key here? So I said the random data, right? Some random strings are added to your actual data. That random strings are known as encryption key. That random strings or data is known as encryption key actually. So whatever random data we are actually adding to our actual data, that particular random data is known as key or encryption key. Clear with this now? What do you mean by encryption key? Clear with this? Let us take very simple example for data encryption and decryption. Let us assume that Parth wants to send very sensitive data to Parthiv. Parth wants to send a very sensitive information to Parthiv. So what Parth will do? Parth will add some unwanted or random data between that particular information. Right? Parth will add some random data between that particular information and send it to Parthiv. So while it is transmitting that information to Parthiv, even if someone else is trying to read that information, let us say Keval is trying to read that particular information, but Keval won't be able to understand that information because the actual data has been changed to some random data by adding some random strings. Only Parthiv will be able to understand that particular random data or actually that string or information because he knows that what random strings have been added to that particular actual data. So this is what data encryption and decryption means. Encryption is done at the sender side and decryption is done at the receiver side. So Parth will give that key, that what data he has entered to that particular information to the Parthiv in a secure way, right? While Keval won't be able to understand what type of information has been transmitted from Parth to Parthiv. So this is what encryption and decryption means. Clear with this, guys? So Parth is trying to send some data to Parthiv. Keval is trying to interfere in that particular data, but Keval won't be able to see or understand the data because Parth has added some key or random data to it, and only that key is available with Parthiv, so that none of the other users can understand or see the data that has been transmitted. So clear with this funda of data encryption and decryption, guys. Decryption is done by Parthiv, encryption is done by Parth, and intrusion is done by Keval. So this is the three main fundas. Clear with this or any doubts? Anyone, any doubts in this? Okay, so let's just go through this very quickly. So I'm not going with this all these things. So what are the different algorithms that are used in data encryptions and decryptions? The first algorithm is symmetric key encryption and second algorithm is public key encryption. No need to go deep in this. I'll just discuss what this actually it is. Let us say Parth is transmitting some information to Parthiv, right? So both the ends, at the Parth end as well as the Parthiv's end, both of them will be having the same key. That means the data that Parth has added to the actual information, the same data will be having with the Parthiv. So both of them will be able to encrypt as well as the decrypt the data using the same random strings. So that is what we can call it as symmetric key encryption, or we can also call it as secret key encryption or secret key algorithms. That means at both the sides you are having the same type of data that has been added to the actual information, right? And both of them can encrypt and decrypt using the same particular data. While in asymmetric or public key encryption, we have two different types of data at both the ends. We will say that Parth will add the data using public key. That means Parth is adding some particular type of data using public key, and Parthiv will be able to decrypt the data using a private key. Now what is this public key and private key? Public key is something, or public key is something that is a randomized data that everyone can use. That everyone can use. But private key is something that is, it will be able to recognize the randomized data using some master data. As you can say that every hotel has a master key. Each room can be opened by a master key, right? So master key is a private key here, and every room's individual key is a public key. Simple example, right? If you are visiting a hotel, let us say a hotel is having 50 rooms, each 50 room is having 50 individual keys, write down to open and shut the doors. And if there is a person who is responsible to clean your rooms, that person will be having a master key, so that he can enter your room, clean up your room, and again close the room. So this is what public key and private key means. Public key means individual keys of the rooms, and private key means master key of all the rooms. Clear with this now? What is public key and private key first of all? So public key encryption means each and every user will use its own data to add it in a actual information, and that randomized data will be removed at the receiver side using that private key. So whatever you are adding is known as public key, and at the receiver side, the user will use a private key to decrypt the data. So that is what public key encryption means. Or also we can call it as asymmetric encryption. We can also call it as asymmetric encryption. Asymmetric encryption. So this is the other name. So symmetric encryption means the same key or same random data is available at both the ends. So Parthiv is going to add the same data and Parthiv is going to remove the same data from the information. So this is what we call it as symmetric key encryption, and public key encryption means each and every user has individual randomized data with them if it is transmitting to the other user, and that other user will be having a master data through which he will be able to remove all the randomized data from the information. So this is what we call it as public key or asymmetric encryption. Clear with this, guys? Now what do you mean by all these things? Shall I repeat again the concept of encryption again very quickly? Shall I repeat? Okay, only keys you want to understand. Fine. Okay. So now let me take a very simple example now here in my notepad. Let us say you are having an A person and you are having a B person, right? Now I am talking about symmetric key encryption and decryption first of all. So let us say this A wants to send hi hello message to this particular B. But because this information is very sensitive, what I will do? I will add this type of data in between this particular information. Is this clear now? So this particular thing is known as encryption. This particular thing is known as encryption. I have added some unwanted or randomized strings between my actual information. Is this clear first of all? This is what we call it as encryption. Right? Okay. So what is the information that we have added actually in this? What is the information we have actually added? We have added BBI and we have added IIAAP. Right? So we have added this string, yes or no? We have added this string in our actual data, yes or no? Right? So this string is known as key. This string is known as key. So this is the key. So now in symmetric key or symmetric encryption or decryption, this key will be available at both the ends. It will be available at A side as well as it will be available at B side. So B also will be having the same key with it. The same key B also will be having. Now let us say this data has been transmitted to B. Let us assume it. Let us assume it. So now this data has reached to this particular B. So now B needs to decrypt this particular information to know what actually A has sent to it. Right? So what it will do? It will know that BBI and IIAAP are the unwanted data in this particular information. So it will try to remove it from this. So BBI will be removed and IIAAP will be removed. So it will get the actual data that A has sent. So this is what decryption means. This key will be used and the data will be decrypted. So it will be removed. This key will be removed from the data. So this is what decryption is. Clear with this, guys? Clear with this? Clear with this, everyone? Right, so this is what symmetric key encryption or decryption means. That means at both the ends, the key that has been used to encrypt or to decrypt is same. The random data that has been used to either encrypt or decrypt the data is same. Is this clear now? Totally? So this is what we call it as symmetric key encryption or decryption. Right? Any doubts in this? Anyone first of all? Clear? Now let us go for the public key encryption or asymmetric encryption decryption. Now let us say here, let me remove all these things. Now let us say A, C and D. There are three users who wants to send a data to B, right? So let us say A wants to send hi hello, C wants to send how are you, and D wants to send let us say welcome. These are the three messages that each of the user, A user, C user and D user wants to send to B. So what it will do, A will have its own key, C will have its own key. Key means random data. Again I am saying, let me write down here. Random data to be added to the actual data. Right? So what is key? Again I am saying so A also wants to send the data, C also wants to send the data, and D also wants to send the data. Each of them is having its own key. So this is what we call it as public key because each user is having its own key or random data. Let us say A is having a random data called BBICC. C is having its random data called PPOIU. And D is having its random data called 6T112F. Right? So this is what the public key means. Each and every user is having a different randomized data. Clear with this? So this is what we call it as public key. This is what we call it as public key. Clear with this now? Is this clear, guys? What is public key? So now let us assume that all this data has been added in this. Let us say BBI, CC, let us say here PP, OIU, and let us say here 60, 11, 2, sorry, 2F and E. Right? So what we have done is we have encrypted our data like this. You can see using the public key. Right? Now at the end of B, here at the B side, this B will be having one more key. And that key, let us assume that it is AEIOU. It is AEIOU. Right? It is also different than all these keys on the left hand side. So this key is known as, let us say here, it will be known as private key. Now what is private key? Private key acts as a, let me say, master key. Master key means this master key can read or can decrypt any public key, that can decrypt any public key. So if this data is being sent to this B, right, then this AEIOU will be able to decrypt this particular message. So it will be able to remove this BBI CC message, CC data from this particular message. The same AIOU will be able to remove this PPOIU message or data from this particular information. This AIOU will be able to remove the 60112F from this particular information. So private key is called a master key that can decrypt any public key message. And public key is the individual key or individual data that each and every sender has. So this is what the keys are. And this is what asymmetric message or asymmetric encryption decryption means. Clear with this now, everyone? So ACD are having public key and the receiver is having a private key or a master key that can decrypt any public key or random data sent by the user. Now is this clear, guys? Or any doubts? Anyone? Anyone? Any doubts in this now? Fine. So this is all about the public key as encryption decryption and symmetric key encryption decryption. The next topic is access control. Now access control we already discussed in our first lab session when we discussed grant and revoke. So that is all about the access control actually. So let's see them very quickly. So access control is a security technique that regulates who or what can view or use the resources in computing environment. So access control is all about deciding who all can view the database, who all can change the database, or what type of users can do what type of operations in the database. So this is what access control mean. So it identifies a person doing a specific job, authenticating them by looking at their identification and then giving that person only the key to the door or a computer that needs access to it and nothing more. It means it will only check or it will ensure that only the authenticated users, those who are actually having the permissions, right, to access the database will be allowed to perform the task. That is what access control means. And mainly there are three types of access controls or maybe two types. Discretionary access control. So this is actually a method in which we use grant and revoke commands. That means we provide different types of users some type of permissions to access the database using a grant command, and once the task is done we take back all the permissions given to that user using the revoke command. So this is what discretionary access control mean. We are granting the permissions using grant command and we are taking back all the permissions using the revoke command. So this is what discretionary access control mean. You can see the example, right? So we are giving the permission using grant and we are taking back the permissions using revoke command. Simple, right? Second is mandatory access control. Now what does this mean? It means that either a user has all the privileges, that means a user has all types of access to a particular system, or a user has no access to the system. User has all the access or no access. Similar to your atomicity, either full transaction or no transaction. So mandatory access control means either a user will be able to have all the access, all the permissions on a particular database, or a user will have no permissions on a database. Right? This is what mandatory access control mean. Right? So the DBA will decide which type of user will have all the access and which type of user will have no access to the database. And still, if a user wants some type of permissions, that will be totally based on the DBA whether to allow a user or whether to provide a user some type of permissions or not. In mandatory access control, it is not possible to provide some specific type of permissions to the users. Either you provide all or you provide no permissions to the user. That is what mandatory access control mean. And last one is role based access control. So this is what very simple, and nowadays we are using such type of access control. It is a role based. If I am an admin of a system, I will have a complete access. If you are the just the user, you won't be having an access to the admin part. If you are just, let us say if you are a student, you won't be having access to the faculty part. If I am a faculty, I won't be having access to the accounts part. If someone is the admin, the main person, the, I would say, the main authority of the Marwadi, then that person will be having an access to each and every module and each and every part of the system. So that is what we call it as role based access control. Based on the roles, based on the user requirements, the access will be given to the particular user. So this is what role based access control mean. So we have three types. Discretionary access control, that means based on the user's requirement, we will provide him the permission and we will take back the permission using grant and revoke. Mandatory access control means either you will have the complete access to the database or data, all the permissions, or you will have no permissions for the particular system. That is what mandatory access control means. And role based control means depending on your role, depending on your requirement, depending on what you are allowed to do, you will be given the permissions on a data. That is what role based access control mean. Right? You can see the last example here written here. A company may have many roles like sales, account manager, purchasing agent, mail room clerk, some other persons. So depending on their roles, they will be given the access to the database or the data. Clear with this, guys? This is what we call it as access control. The mechanism, the permissions that have been given to access a particular database. So clear with this? What do you mean by access control? Any doubts in this? Right? Okay, so let's stop here today and we'll continue on Monday. We'll try to complete this chapter on Monday then. Right. So I will upload this particular PPT today on your portal so you can just go through it. And if you have any doubts in any part that we have discussed so far, right, you can just raise it on Monday. Okay. So let's end this session here. Thank you very much, guys.